And joining us right now is one of the four nominees for governor on the Republican side of the ledger in the state of Maryland. His name is Larry Hogan. He joins us now. Mr. Hogan, thanks for joining us, sir.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad to have you because, listen, all four of y'all in there on the Republican side want to cut taxes. Y'all agree that we're taxed way too much in Maryland. In fact, heck, even Doug Gansler, one of the Democrats, he says that he's going to cut taxes because taxes are too high. So that consensus is there. The problem is, Anthony Brown over there on the Democratic side, he's going to say, well, you want to cut taxes, then the state's not going to be able to spend the way that it has to spend. We're going to have a deficit. What are you going to do? What are you going to cut? You've actually said there's almost $2 billion in waste in Annapolis. Can you give us some examples of the $1.7 billion of waste you say that we already have in the state?
Well, sure. There's waste and fraud, duplication of effort all throughout state government. And it's not just, sometimes people just say, we're going to cut the waste, and they don't actually identify it. But we've had 300 different independent audits of state agencies and departments. Some were done by the federal government. Some were Department of Legislative Services audits of the executive branch, and they just found rampant cases of waste in almost every single agency and department, and they've made these recommendations about very specific things in each agency. They're mostly small things that add up to a lot of money. We don't have to eliminate any major programs. We have to run the government more efficiently and more cost effectively. The O'Malley-Brown administration pretty much ignored all of these items that were identified, and it's basically things like in each department they have no cash controls, they don't have controls over credit cards, money's just being lost left and right in agency after agency. So all of those things totaled up to nearly $2 billion, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We have called for independent outside audits of every single state agency and department, and we think we can probably find twice that much, which would be a considerable chunk to knock off of the budget.
Well, I'm looking forward to you squaring off if you win the nomination with Anthony Brown, because he can't deny there's some waste there, considering what he just went through in wasting $150 million of the taxpayers' money on the health care system.
When you add it up, it's really it's about $240 million so far that we've already wasted, and now we're going to waste another $60 million on this website from Connecticut. So the total bill is going to be nearly $300 million of taxpayers' money that's been wasted on a program that doesn't work, while 75,000 Marylanders have lost their health care coverage because of politics and incompetence.
Larry, I think that it's a heavy lift for Republicans running in the state of Maryland. I know you acknowledge that, but right now it seems like some really interesting things are sort of aligned in your favor. We're talking about facing a 30% increase in health care costs in Maryland. We have this disastrous rollout of the Maryland Health Care Exchange. Many people in the state are extremely angry at O'Malley for his gun laws, and they're just sick and tired of being taxed at every turn. Do you think this is the time where you can put together a campaign that can beat a Democrat in the state of Maryland?
Well, I couldn't have put that any better. You just hit on all of the key elements about why this is the perfect time, and quite frankly, this may be our last chance to turn this state around before it's too late, and I think we have an excellent chance. 40 consecutive tax hikes that have taken an additional $10 billion out of the pockets of struggling Maryland families and small businesses. They've increased spending by 36% in state government, one of the highest increases in the nation for any state. This failed boondoggle of wasting nearly $300 million on the health care rollout. The mood of the electorate in Maryland is they're absolutely ready for change.
What are you picking up when you talk to people?
People everywhere. I've talked to people from all walks of life everywhere in the state, and the common theme I keep hearing is frustration. People are angry, they're fed up, and they feel a huge disconnect between Annapolis and the rest of Maryland. Now, we did some polling that says 28% of the likely general election voters in Maryland want to continue with the same leadership, and 59% want to see a dramatic change of direction in Annapolis. That's a 31-point spread.
Wow.
And people, regardless of their party affiliation, are really ready for a change. We just, for the first time since 2002, when Bob Ehrlich was elected, this is the very first time any Republican has cut the margin. We're down to single digits against the most likely nominee in Anthony Brown.
Larry Hogan's our guest. By the way, he kicks off a 2-week bus tour across the Free State starting today in Montgomery County. Go to HoganforGovernor.com if you want to get the details on that. Between now and June 22nd, you're going to be crisscrossing across the state, and that's what you got to do to win something like this. I wonder, Larry Hogan, if Brian just said it's a heavy lift, but do Maryland voters understand that just by getting a Republican governor over in Annapolis, you can make a huge difference? I think that they think it's so daunting because of the way the gerrymandering has been done, and the state senators and the delegates there in Annapolis are so overwhelmingly Democratic. But you put one Republican in the governor's seat, and that makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
It really does, and I think the voters who are paying attention do understand that. And we're not going to turn Maryland from a blue state to a red state, and we're not going to take over both houses of the legislature, but we desperately need to bring balance to Annapolis. We currently have a monopoly that just is able to push all these things through against the will of the majority of voters. 76% of the people in Maryland think taxes are too high, and yet they continue to push tax after tax after tax. Just having a governor and bringing some balance back to Annapolis, having a real healthy competitive two-party system for a change, and having the somebody down there to try to stop some of these things from happening, it can make a huge difference.
Larry Hogan, thanks for joining us today. Good luck on your 2-week tour. And, of course, all of the nominees, all of those who are trying to get the nomination for the Republican side, there's an open invitation for you to come here on Mornings on the Mall. Thank you, Larry Hogan.
Hey, guys, thank you very much.